We just saw the students in the classroom. What's the next step?
Right, so what we will do is go and see one of our clinicians who's graduated and is now in independent practice in a community. The course is a 6-month course. They spend 5.5 months in training both clinically in clinical practice as well as in the classroom. And then following that, they have to take a state board exam to be certified as mental health clinicians. So we're off to Bazan in Grand Jazeera County, which is about a 5-hour drive, 4 to 5 hour drive. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Bumpy ride, oh.
55 of Dr. Cooper's graduates have already started working in rural clinics, none of which has ever had a mental health clinician before.
This has to be difficult. First of all, kind of understaffed. But the traveling that goes into getting to where they need to be is not easy here.
Not at all. Many of the clinicians end up driving on motorbikes for a couple of hours at least to get to a backup referral hospital. But if you think if this is hard on the clinicians, imagine how much harder it is on the patients, especially when they're in crisis. Oftentimes, it was a case of a patient with mental illness, when they became too difficult to control for the family would tie them up and put them in the boot or trunk of a taxi and then to make the 12, 14-hour journey to Monrovia.
With their family member in the trunk.
With the family member who was in crisis in the trunk.
Hi, sweetie. So there's normally this many people.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, here's Margaret. Hi, Margaret.
Hi, God. Welcome.
It's so good to see you.
Margaret Bala was one of the first students to graduate from Dr. Cooper's course and now works at a remote clinic in southeastern Liberia.
This is where we treat our emergency cases.
And do you see many of those?
So on a daily basis. The mental condition, one of the conditions we treat here almost on a daily basis is epilepsy.
Which is considered here a mental condition.
So, yes, so.
New cases of epilepsy are nearly twice as common in developing countries as in richer regions because people face a greater risk of infections or injuries to the brain that can trigger the disorder.
What is this condition?
He's an epileptic patient. So in the last 3 months, he has seizures 5 times.
Because you don't know what you're doing. Making say you can't go to school. We go to school like yesterday. Last week we fell, and when he dropped, the people escape from him.
So nobody goes to help when he has a seizure?
Except my power and me.
Everybody else stands back.
Look at me.
They come down with seizures, and then their friends, schoolmates are afraid to go around them. And whenever they try to go back, they stigmatize them. They should continue to come for their medication, and also after this semester, the second semester, he will try for the boy to go back to school.
You enjoy going to school?
You love school. You love school. You love school.
Uncontrolled seizures can lead to death, yet around 9 out of 10 people with epilepsy in Africa go untreated, and fear and stigma still surround the illness.
Is the medicine, is it expensive?
No. Services here are free. Thank you for coming today and make sure that you take the medication accordingly.
Margaret takes us to meet some of the other patients she supports on an ongoing basis.
I was having a little mental problem, and I explained it to the woman, and she said, oh, the health facility will help you, but at the same time, you should be encouraged to be coming here, and then later, it will help you a lot.
I said, you are a high school student, so when are you thinking of going back to school? Despite of your condition, you can do anything that someone out there can do. So he came back to me at the clinic rejoicing. I took the entrance, I passed the entrance, and you can see now he's the vice president for the school.
That is wonderful. Congratulations.
From my perspective, it's worth it because I see the pride that they take in their profession. I see the joy they have when they see that the techniques and tools that they have work. And I think when I see patients, especially their patients, coming back and speaking with such pride and with such happiness at how they have developed this relationship with a clinician.
One of Dr. Cooper's other graduates is based at Solo Refugee Camp on Liberia's southeastern border, which houses 6,000 people who have fled violence in neighboring Ivory Coast.
Obviously, when people are far away from home and the conflict in Ivory Coast, while now is settled, many of these people have remained here because they're unsure of their safety going back.
So we're going to see Naomi,
Okay.
who is a mental health clinician. Hello, Naomi.
Yeah, hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. This is Solo Camp. This is the mental health unit.
What are some of the problems that you see when people come in?
Meaning that mental health conditions, depression, psychosis, PTSD, and epilepsy. These are conditions we see here.
And kind of explain to us how you treat these people.
First of all, we have our psychosocial counselors who go out in the field and identify the cases. They are referred at the clinic here where I do the screening, use the PHQ now to do the screening, and then I go on with the diagnosis and treatment here.
And what seems to be the source of it all?
Most of them is the war. Some of them lost their property. Some of them lost their family member. Even here at the camp, some of them came with just one family member and they lost that person. So they even get depressed in the camp here. Yeah.
And it has to be hard knowing that you're not really technically home.
Yeah, yes. It's very hard. Even just living in a refugee camp is depressive all by itself. When I first met, she was turned over from MSF to me. She lost her husband, her children were killed right before her. And when she came, every time, even when they first came in a place there to do the counseling, she was like crying. But this time, you see, she's pregnant now. She was not a day before. You see that she has improved, and she's doing a skill program here at the camp. So.
She said for the time she came, she used to worry, she used to eat. But right now, at least the treatment that they giving to her is helping her. She said the time they were coming, entering Africa, they were coming on their way, coming Liberia, she, her daughter, and her mother. So the rebel, they met them on the road. And she too, they just took her mother from there, they carried the woman aside in front of her, they just slaughtered the woman, they carried the woman in front of her.
Do you ever see people getting better?
Yes, when we first started, since last year, 2011, we have discharged over 30 patients from our program now.
Surprising, to say the least, to think that there's probably so many more people out there that need help.
Yes, absolutely.
And afraid to come to
afraid
you.
to come, afraid that other people may learn that they have been here.
Yeah.
We have a saying that depression is everyone's business. Anyone can get depressed, and almost everybody can recover from depression. Depression is the most common disorder here in Liberia. And I'm really, really proud of the clinicians that are able to bring people out of their homes and often out of the darkness.
This is basically the alternative to locking people up in institutions, is actually bringing
the services as close to them as possible. There should be very, very few people that need to go to institutions, very, very few people that need inpatient care, and when they do, it should be for short periods of time. And we are training our clinicians so that they're part of a community-based strategy.
which doesn't include chains.
Absolutely does not include chains, does not include any way of taking the liberty from people with mental illness. They are entitled to the same freedoms as the rest of us.